Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Moscow rejects US President Donald Trump's claim that Russia was a paper tiger in economic peril, asserts it is advancing in Ukraine and its economy is stable. French President Emmanuel Macron to meet with his Iranian counterpart Masoud Pezeshkian at the UN today as IAEA inspectors are on their way to Iran in case a snapback sanctions deal is struck. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar calls for stronger global South solidarity and collective push for UN reforms at the high-level meet of developing countries in New York. And Typhoon Raasa makes landfall in southern China, leaves widespread damage in Hong Kong. 17 reported dead due to the storm in Taiwan. Russia said on Wednesday that it was economically stable and its army was advancing in Ukraine. Kremlin rejected comments by US President Donald Trump, urging Kiev to take advantage of Russian economic weakness and seize back all of its captured territory. In a sudden and striking rhetorical shift, Trump said on Tuesday that he believed Ukraine could retake all land seized by Russia, which currently controls about a fifth of the country. The Kremlin has also said that it was wrong to think that Ukraine could recapture land taken by Moscow's army, a day after US President Donald Trump said that Kiev could push Russian forces completely out of the country. Further, the Kremlin said that it had no choice but to continue its military offensive on Ukraine as Moscow rejected Donald Trump's claim that Russia was a paper tiger. The comments come a day after the US president said that Ukraine could win back all of its territory lost to Russia. Speaking to media, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said Russia is continuing its special military operation to ensure its interests and achieve the goals in Ukraine. Commenting on US President Trump's attempts to reset ties, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said that the Russia-US rapprochement has yielded close to zero results, despite US-led attempts in recent months to rebuild relations between the two powers. NATO has issued a warning to Russia after a series of airspace violations over Estonia, Poland and Romania. NATO said that it would use all necessary military and non-military tools to defend itself if need be. The warning came after Estonia said on Friday that 3 Russian MiG-31 fighter jets violated its airspace for 12 minutes before NATO Italian fighter jets escorted them out. The week before, some 20 Russian drones entered Polish airspace, prompting NATO jets to shoot some of them down and the alliance to beef up the defense of Europe's eastern flank. The NATO statement followed a meeting of the North Atlantic Council, which was called after Estonia invoked Article 4 of NATO's founding treaty. Russia on Wednesday again dismissed claims that it breached NATO's airspace, calling them hysteria. This again comes a day after President Trump said that the allies should shoot down Russian jets if they violate their territory. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said that Moscow has such exaggerated hysteria about military pilots allegedly violating some rules and invading someone's airspace. He called all these claims unfounded. And for more on the European perspective, we are joined by Deutsche Welle correspondent Chiponda Chimbelu from Berlin. Hi, Chiponda. First of all, tell us what's the latest that you have from us?
Well, of course, the latest is that statement by U.S. President Donald Trump saying that NATO should shoot down Russian jets if they do enter the airspace of NATO member states. But of course, there is a bit of ambiguity coming from the White House, because yesterday as well, the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio suggested that NATO countries should only intercept Russian jets rather than shoot them down. So it is not quite clear what the line is in Washington, despite the statement by US President Donald Trump. But of course, we do know what NATO wants to do and what it is planning. It has said it would use all the necessary military and non-military tools to defend itself as it faces a pattern of what it calls increasing irresponsible behavior by Moscow. So obviously that is a very clear line being taken by the NATO leaders here, who've of course made that statement. But the Kremlin has, of course, denied it entered the Estonian airspace, like you mentioned. But of course, in terms of the response here in Europe, it is hard to believe that that is the case, because obviously we do know that Russia now has a series of reports of airspace incursions across parts of Europe. We do have many NATO members, Norway, Poland, Romania, and Croatia, have all reported airspace violations by Russia this year alone. So that is, of course, why there is a lot of skepticism about also the Russian response.
Okay. And how is the alliance expected to respond, considering these violations continue?
Well, we've already seen this month there's been two countries, NATO member states, so Estonia and Poland. They have both invoked Article 4, which pretty much brought the member states to consult on a security threat and to potentially come up with a response together. Of course, the invocation of Article 4 doesn't really require member states to come up with a response, but it does show that there is increasingly need to collaborate on security and to coordinate security efforts. So we will be seeing more of that, and that is something that we can expect to see more of. The one thing that would really be a game changer for NATO would be the invocation of Article 5, which pretty much says that an attack on one member state is an attack on the whole alliance.
Okay, so yesterday Volodymyr Zelensky said that Trump can be a game changer, and what we have seen in the last 24 hours is a dramatic U-turn by Donald Trump in the way he looks at this conflict. So what should we be watching for in the coming days?
Be a game changer for NATO of Article 5, which pretty much says that an attack on one member state is an attack on the whole alliance.
Okay, so yesterday Volodymyr Zelensky said that Trump can be a game changer, and what we have seen in the last 24 hours is a dramatic U-turn by Donald Trump in the way he looks at this conflict. So what should we... So
we should also be looking to Denmark as well. There was another drone incident this week over there. Airports in Copenhagen and Oslo were closed for hours on Monday night, and that was... Oh.
Yeah, Shiponda, we can hear you. Okay, so apologies for that audio mismatch there. We will try and connect with Shiponda in a while. Meanwhile, let's give you some more news. French President Emmanuel Macron will meet with his Iranian counterpart, Masoud Pezeshkian, at the UN on Wednesday as efforts to avert the reimposition of deep sanctions on Tehran over its nuclear program intensify. Giving options from the podium of the UN General Assembly on Tuesday, the French president said that Iran either makes a gesture or goes back to the path of peace and accountability that makes it possible to get back on course, or sanctions will have to be imposed. He further said that he will meet the Iranian president on Wednesday on each of these crucial issues. So Iran and European powers remained at loggerheads on Tuesday to strike a last-ditch deal to avert the reimposition of UN sanctions before a September 27th deadline, but both sides left the door open for further talks. The foreign ministers of France, Britain and Germany, the so-called E3, along with the EU's foreign policy chief Kaja Kallas, held talks with their Iranian counterpart on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly. On August 28th, the E3 launched a 30-day process to reimpose UN sanctions, which ends on September 27th, accusing Tehran of failing to abide by a 2015 deal with world powers aimed at preventing it from developing a nuclear weapon. But three European diplomats said that significant gaps remained, even though all sides knew what needed to be done to get a compromise. If Tehran and the E3 fail to reach a deal on an extension by the end of September 27th, then all UN sanctions, including on its key hydrocarbon sector, will be renewed on Iran, where the economy already struggles with crippling sanctions reimposed since 2018 after US President Donald Trump ditched the pact during his first term. Meanwhile, a team of inspectors were on their way to Iran should Tehran and European powers reach a deal this week to avert the reimposition of international sanctions. UN nuclear watchdog chief Rafael Grossi agreed that technical measures with Iran in Cairo earlier this month would pave the way for the resumption of IAEA inspectors at sites. But with scant detail and no time frame, they've come under fire given the urgency ahead of the snapback.
Everything is possible. Everything is, if there is a will, sorry for the cliche, if there is a will, there is a way. We have our inspectors, their inspectors are on the way, and they are the possibility to start with this work. It's depending on the political will of Iran.
And on to news of the humanitarian assistance into Gaza. Italy's Defense Minister Guido Crosetto sent a Navy frigate to assist a Gaza-bound flotilla on Wednesday after organizers said that several of their boats had been targeted by multiple drones of Greece. The global Sumud flotilla, carrying pro-Palestinian activists, including Italian citizens and MEPs, reported hearing more than a dozen nearby explosions as it sailed off Greece late Tuesday. The Italian foreign minister urged Israel to ensure the safety of those on board. The flotilla left Barcelona to break the Israeli blockade of Gaza and deliver aid. Vessels waiting to join the flotilla faced suspected drone attacks in Tunisia, where climate activist Greta Thunberg joined the mission. And on to some weather updates now. Typhoon Raasa made landfall in southern China on Wednesday after battering Hong Kong and Taiwan. Hong Kong witnessed widespread damage, with shops and buildings bearing the maximum brunt and claiming 17 lives in Taiwan. It was the strongest tropical cyclone of the year, shaking buildings and flooding streets in a city of over 2 million people. Raasa made landfall along the coast of Hailing Island, Yaqiang City, Guangdong Province. According to the Weather Service, wind speeds near the storm's center reached up to 145 kilometers per hour. You're watching DD India Live, still to come on this show. India tears into Pakistan at the UNHRC, calls it a nation which bombs its own people, asks Islamabad to vacate illegally occupied Indian territory and focus on its ailing economy. Chinese company Alibaba teams up with US tech giant NVIDIA for co-developing humanoid robots. And meet Milo, one such humanoid robot who is helping university students with lessons in Paris.
Pakistan's Al Khalid tank under fire at home. Can it hold up against India's T-90 Bhishma? Islamabad's stealth fighter dreams dashed. No J-35 in sight. India's big leap in aviation, IMRH and DBMRH, set to rule the skies and the seas. And Israel powers up its Iron Beam lasers to replace missiles in future wars. Catch all the action on Defense Dynamics this Wednesday at 8 p.m. IST only on DD India.
Thank you for staying with us on DD India Live. I'm Tanvi Taneja. On the sidelines of the UNGA meeting in New York, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar held a key meeting. Jaishankar hosted a high-level meeting of like-minded Global South countries to discuss a number of important global issues. He made the proposal for Global South to approach the world affairs with solidarity and said that in the light of current challenges, the need for enhanced dialogue among the Global South is needed to foster solidarity and encourage mutual cooperation. The discussion recommended utilizing existing platforms to strengthen mutual consultation. Presenting India's position, Jaishankar said, given the growing concerns and multiplicity of risks of today, it is natural for the Global South to turn to multilateralism for solutions.
India would propose the following points for your collective consideration. 1. We utilize existing forums to strengthen consultations among Global South with a view to enhance solidarity and encourage collaboration. 2. Bring to the table specific strengths, experiences, and achievements that we may have individually developed, but which can actually benefit fellow Global South members.
India on Tuesday hit out at Pakistan at the United Nations Human Rights Council, lashing out at Islamabad for abusing the forum with baseless and provocative statements against India. Representing India at the 60th session of the Human Rights Council, Kshitij Tyagi, Councillor, Permanent Mission of India in Geneva, said that instead of coveting our territory, Pakistan would do well to vacate the Indian territory under their illegal occupation and focus on rescuing an economy on life support, a polity muzzled by military dominance, and a human rights record strained by persecution. Perhaps once they find time away from exporting terrorism, harboring UN-proscribed terrorists, and bombing their own people.
A delegation that epitomizes the antithesis of this approach continues to abuse this forum with baseless and provocative statements against India. Instead of coveting our territory, they would do well to vacate the Indian territory under the illegal occupation and focus on rescuing an economy on life support, a polity muzzled by military dominance, and a human rights record stained by persecution. Perhaps once they find time away from exporting terrorism, harboring UN-proscribed terrorists, and bombing their own people.
German Ambassador to India, Dr. Philipp Ackermann, has invited skilled Indian workers to work in Germany, stressing the country's stable migration policies that do not change fundamentally overnight.
This is a good moment to talk about Indians working in Germany. Indians are amongst the top earners in Germany. The average Indian working in Germany earns more than the average German working in Germany. And that's pretty good news. Because a high salary means that Indians are contributing big time to our society and our welfare. We believe in hard work, and we believe in giving the best jobs to the best people. Our migration policy works a bit like a German car. It's reliable, it is modern, it is predictable. It will go in a straight line with no zigzags. And you don't have to fear a full brake at a top speed. We do not change our rules fundamentally overnight. Highly skilled Indians are welcome in Germany. If you want to find out what Germany has to offer, click on the link tree below. I'm sure you'll find surprising opportunities.
Strategic Partnership Forum, Union Minister Piyush Goyal on Wednesday said India's advancements and initiatives in energy security and healthcare, highlighting the 7-year success of the free healthcare program that has benefited 612 million people.
We launched Ayushman Bharat 7 years ago on this day. I think that was a very important program because it brought to the fore a need to ensure quality healthcare for every citizen of India. It was expanded in earlier this year, towards the end of the last year, in 24, it was expanded to cover everybody above the age of 7 years. So now we have about 620 million beneficiaries of free healthcare in India.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi had visited Lothal in Gujarat on September 20th to review the progress of the National Maritime Heritage Complex, NMHC. This complex showcases India's maritime heritage at the historic Lothal site that dates back to the Indus Valley civilization. Once ready, the complex would boost economic activity in the region. DD India's Vishal Baristo reports.
The National Maritime Heritage Project, NMHC, is being developed at Lothal, Gujarat to celebrate and preserve India's rich 4,500-year-old maritime heritage. The ambitious project, considered the world's largest maritime complex, features a museum with 14 galleries, themed parks, the recreation of Lothal city, and a maritime research institute. The NMHC aims to serve as a global center for learning, tourism, and showcasing India's historical and ongoing role in maritime activities.
So in first 1A, the costing is 1300 crores, and in this 1300 crore, we are going to make 6 galleries and 1 Lothal town. This is different than any other contract that we did it. Like this is a heritage complex. Here we are making the live heritage.
The project includes recreation of ancient dockyard. The complex will feature 4 theme parks, a maritime and naval theme park, a climate change theme park, a monuments park, and an adventure park.
I'm inside a submarine model, and there you can see this movie talks about the evolution of marine life. And I have with me Aditya. Tell us about this model.
So this is basically a simulator ride for submarine, and in this we are showing the evolution of the marine life. Okay, so this are the screens. It is basically what we can say a windows of the submarine. Okay, and the ride will move according to the video simulation. So it will be a motion ride simulation with the videos and the audio syncing.
This complex is designed to be a world-class facility that will attract tourists, provide educational opportunities, and boost the local economy. This complex would encourage business activities in the region. There are 20 odd resorts in the surrounding area.
This area is getting developed, and because of the Lothal site and the heritage complex, the tourism will surely get a boost. It will also help the resorts in the surrounding area. Thanks to the initiative taken by the Modi government, it will also attract foreign tourists.
Lothal was an ancient port city of the Indus Valley civilization and is situated in the Indian state of Gujarat. With cameraman Ramakant and Mukesh in Lothal, Vishal Baristo's report for DD India.
And on to some sporting action now. India faced Bangladesh in a high-stakes Super 4 clash of the Asia Cup at the Dubai International Stadium today. The only unbeaten outfit of the tournament, India haven't been seriously challenged in their 4 preceding games. After a rather comfortable 6-wicket win over Pakistan in their first Super 4 match, India will eye the final spot when they lock horns with Bangladesh. With India continuing their dominant run in the Asia Cup, the onus will be on Bangladesh to defy the odds and produce a performance that could shake the tournament's balance and give us some competitive cricket. Next, we take a look at other stories making news across the world. Developers in the City of London have lifted the 700-year-old All Hallows staining church tower 14 metres above ground level as work progresses on an office building. The tower has been raised on temporary supports so construction can continue beneath it, allowing the landmark to be integrated into the new development. The church was built in 1320 AD and is the last remnant of a bigger church, largely destroyed in the Great Fire of London in the year 1666. Milo, a humanoid AI, is attending classes in an engineering school in Paris, recording and transcribing lectures for students to access via chatbot. Students then have access to the transcription in chatbot format on their computers 24/7, allowing them to review the material, understand complex concepts, and work through problems. The humanoid robot offers guidance without giving direct answers. Chinese company Alibaba announced teaming up with US tech giant NVIDIA, marking a milestone collaboration to accelerate its development of humanoid robots. The news comes as Alibaba's shares soared beyond 9% in Hong Kong after its chief executive Eddie Wu unveiled plans to further ramp up spending on artificial intelligence. Earlier in February this year, Alibaba said it would spend at least 380 billion yuan, that is nearly $53 billion, on artificial intelligence and cloud computing over the next 3 years. So that's all for this edition of DD India Live. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And you can also download our DD India mobile app for quick news and updates on the go. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.